good topic for us, right? As women, especially self-care and balance. In fact, I do a lot of speaking and presenting, and this is one of the most requested talks that I give is around self-care. So let's just get into it. Come on. So first of all, is you deserve downtime. A lot of, especially women, we're caretakers, we're great at taking care of other people. We're not always great at taking care of ourselves. And I've heard so many women talk about feeling guilty. They feel guilty for taking that time out. And here's the thing, if you don't keep your cup full, you're not going to be able to pour out for others. So it's really important that we take that time that we need to develop good self-care habits. I just like this quote, always on, multitasking work environments are killing productivity, dampening creativity, and making us unhappy. Who can relate to that? Okay, now raise your hand if you're a great multitasker. Okay, ladies, let's bust that myth right away.
I know.
Okay, multitasking. Multitasking is like crack for your brain, but not good crack, bad crack for your brain. Multitasking, actually, there's a study that was done. I'm a clinical psychologist by background, so I love to read the research and know what the empirical data shows about some of the things that we're talking about today. And there was a study of Harvard MBAs, and they had one group multitasking and then the other group serial tasking, which is doing one task at a time. Basically, the Harvard MBAs who multitasked had the same performance on tasks as people who were stoned. Okay? So multitasking depletes the energy from your brain. So just remember that next time you say, hey, I'm a great multitasker. So who feels like this? We've got so much distracting us and so many demands on our time that we do tend to ignore our own self-care. And what we're striving for really is balance. And when you're balanced, and this is actually part of the inspiration for the logo for my business, it's because I do focus on people's strengths, and I feel like each rock in the pile is another one of your strengths, and when they're put into perfect alignment, you're in really great shape. Same thing with the team. Each member of your team is unique and has different strengths, like the different rocks. And so if you put them all together in perfect harmony, this is the kind of thing that you get. But what often happens is more like this. Because we've got too many rocks or too many balls in the air or too much multitasking, and we end up losing some of our edge. So self-care is really important. And here are some of the examples for me, what bring me joy and keep me going, and some of my self-care practices. So I love to go to yoga. I used to go to Zumba, but I need Anna to be my Zumba teacher. And may I just suggest right now, maybe some kind of women in business Zumba something? May I suggest that right now? So yoga, we are so fortunate to live in the most beautiful place on earth, right?
Yes.
So we can just take a quick little drive, 15 minutes, and be out by Magoo Rock. That's a place that definitely helps me recenter and balance. Spending time with family, having a cute dog always helps, and a cute mom also helps. Very blessed and fortunate for that. I do a little bit of art sometimes just to stop and to have a cup of tea, right? It doesn't have to be going on that tropical vacation, although I seriously recommend that. But it doesn't have to be that. It could just be sitting in a quiet place, having a beautiful place in your home or outside that you can just sit for 5-10 minutes, have a cup of tea, unwind, and breathe. I've been practicing mindfulness for a number of years, and we don't breathe enough. And if you notice, sometimes you'll catch yourself maybe even holding your breath. So breathing is super important. And you know what? I like to have a good time. So another part of self-care is getting out and doing fun things, doing things maybe you've never done before, like that. You know, because sometimes you've just got to ride the jackalope, right? Just got to ride the jackalope. I was actually with a bunch of scientists, and we walked. I actually took them by this bar. I was like, "Look at this! It's Austin, Texas. Oh my gosh, look at that thing!" I had not gotten on it, and my friend says, "Look, Glo, get on the jackalope." Okay, so no drinking was done before that picture. It's just pure joy. We need and want more of that, right? So it's really a matter of figuring out for yourself what fuels you, what recharges you, and making time in your busy schedule, because everybody's busy, everybody's got a million things to do. We have to make time for us, or we're going to burn out. Our little rock stack's going to fall over, and we might stub our toe. I don't know. So you have a handout at your place that this is called a mind map, okay? And it's a mind map of self-care. And I'm going to talk about the 5 different areas. Thank you, Gladys, my Vanna. The 5 different areas of self-care. And I want you to keep this at your table and think about it as we go through this afternoon, because I'm going to talk about these 5 different areas, but then our next speakers are going to talk about some of the nitty-gritty ways that you can put some of these more into effect. So as thoughts come up, you want to write them down in these different areas. That'll be helpful, because the other thing about self-care is that we really have to plan for it. We can't just do it on the fly, because what happens? If you just do it on the fly, what happens?
It doesn't happen.
You don't do it, right? So actually, my lovely assistant, Denise, who is here, was looking at my calendar, and she says, "Do you really do yoga that often?" Because it's on my calendar. Now, okay, true confessions, I don't do yoga 4 times a week. I usually go 2 or 3 times a week, but I want it on my calendar because I want that reminder every day, or the days that I possibly can go, that I would do that. Now, the other thing is that if you had an appointment on your calendar with a potential client or your doctor or someone else, would you break that appointment? Usually not, right? Because it's an appointment on your calendar. Oftentimes, we break those appointments with ourselves. So we want to make sure that we put those things on our calendar and stick to them as much as we can. So we're going to talk about these 5 different areas of self-care. So the first one is physical self-care. So get out and do some exercise. Go to Zumba at Channel Islands High School 3 or 4 nights a week. Anna's amazing. Talk to her if you don't know her. Get out and make sure that you're getting to the gym, taking a walk, good nutrition, which we're going to hear more about. Getting your sleep. Who gets 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night? Okay, not bad. Who gets more than 8 hours of sleep a night? Nice, excellent. So if you didn't raise your hand, you're getting less than 6 hours of sleep, not really enough. And we need that sleep to regenerate our brains. So our physical self-care is one of those areas. So if there are ways that you're really doing a good job with physical self-care, that's what you would want to write down next to the physical bubble on that handout. So your emotional and social self-care. Ladies, we're good at relationships. We tend to be pretty good at relationships and making time for our friends. That's definitely a way of self-care. Giving back, community service. We are a county with 3,000 nonprofits and a real eye toward helping others, toward altruism, which also helps us, because altruism goes both ways. You give and you feel good. So that's pretty cool. Spending time with family, again, the family dog. If you don't have a dog, who are cat people, not dog people. Cats are good, I'm just allergic, so sad. I just have cats. Being with people who you like. And you know what? Sometimes you need a good cry, right? So really being tapped into your emotional experience. We can't be happy all the time. We can't be up and going all the time. Sometimes you need to take a step back and just feel what you're feeling. And that's okay. Here's a graphic on laughter is the best medicine. There have been all kinds of studies done about the positive effects of laughter, what it has. It increases endorphins in your brain, releases tension in your body, increases your coping response. So what are some ways that you might add more humor into your day? You're watching cat videos, whatever works. It's all good. But we have to make sure that we're getting that dose of happiness. So the third component of self-care is spiritual self-care. So that is, again, reflection, meditation. If you practice at a church, or whatever your spiritual practice is, that is part of taking care of our insides, of our souls, really. And again, it could just, like, nature might be your spiritual practice, being out in nature, or connecting with other people, or, like I said, practicing an organized religion. But whatever it is, the spiritual component is an important part of self-care. Anybody ever feel that? This is where mindfulness can really come in handy. So, and mindfulness is really just paying attention to the present moment, right now. That's all it is paying attention and being present. So the more we can pay attention when we're talking to somebody, really listening to what they're saying. When we're eating our lunch, really chewing the food and tasting the food. We often, in a setting like this, a little different. I'm not going to talk about mindful eating when we're sitting listening to talk and a million people around. Okay, not quite a million, but we do have a very good turnout today. But we are so overwhelmed by so much information that sometimes a mindful approach can really help with that. And that's part of the psychological self-care that you can also do. So listening to music is another way to attend to your psychological well-being. Doing art, being creative, whatever that creativity is, making awesome centerpieces, as Pat does. She's always tapping into her creative skills. Again, meditation, some kind of mindfulness practice can be helpful. Playing with kids. Who has kids under the age of 4? Fun, right? Okay, it's stressful too, and a lot of work. I understand that, but it can be fun. So it's really good if you can play with other people's kids.
That's right.
My kid's 20. I still like to play with her. Dancing, that could be under physical, that's psychological, that's staying young. In mind and body. And again, the pets. I just can't get enough of my dog. That's Biscuit. He loves his candy cane no matter what the season. Something about that, that unconditional love that a dog gives you. And being a cat person and then getting a dog, at first it was like, God, you're so ingratiating. Come on, have some dignity like a cat. But they don't. They just love you no matter what. Anyway. But boy, does that make me feel good when I come home after a rough day and I sit down he just wants to be like right there. No matter what. No matter how cranky I am or how bad I smell or whatever. Professional self-care. Now you go to work, we all go to work, and we still have to take care of ourselves in the context of work. So connecting with your other coworkers, making time to get to know the people that you work with, having a cup of coffee, celebrating things, having some kind of culture of celebration, of appreciation of people in the workplace is really powerful and can really go a long way in having happy staff. And then also make sure to take your vacations. I don't have the number, but it's ridiculous how many people do not take vacation time. Like 40% of people don't take all of their vacation by the end of the year. That is criminal. Criminal. And as somebody, if you're self-employed, you know that that's criminal because now you have to take time away from your business to take care of yourself. It's hard. But if you don't do it, it could be a real problem. The other part of of professional self-care is lifelong learning, continued learning. So coming to events like this and learning more about self-care and balance, doing continuing education, which is basically my business and which I love to do. I love people who want to learn and love to learn, because that energizes you to go back to work, put some of those skills into practice, and have a fresh perspective. All right, so there's your mind map again. So in the middle is you, right? You are in the middle, and these are all of your different practices. So as I mentioned, as we go on today, and if there are some that stick out for you right now, go ahead and jot down next to those little circles on your handout, what are some ways that you're practicing physical self-care? Are you going to yoga? Are you going to Zumba? Do you go walk with a friend? What are some ways that you're practicing psychological self-care? Do you paint? Do you listen to music? What are some of those ways? Professionally, how are you connecting with the people that you work with? And the emotional piece, if it's meditation, mindfulness, breathing, and spiritual. So think about these 5. If there are some that come to mind right away, go ahead and jot them down. And again, reflect back on this and be writing. It's a place for you to write things down as we go along in our presentation. I love this graphic because it shows just 50 little tiny things that you can do that can make a big difference, like find a relaxing scent, pet a fur, back to the furry creatures, I do pet my furry creatures, walk outside, write in a journal, take deep breaths, read a book, lots of little things that we might take for granted, but if we do them more intentionally, we can take better care of ourselves. And we're just coming full circle to the beginning of the presentation. It is not selfish to refill your own cup so that you can pour into others. It's not just a luxury, it is essential. So also on the back of your handout is a way to get a free gift today, which is an ebook that I wrote, 15 Minutes to Better Self-Care. It's a fillable PDF where you can go through and really work through some of these different self-care strategies and make a plan for how you're going to integrate that more into your life to have better balance and self-care. And with that, I'm going to pass it along to our next presenter, who's going to get I'm going to pass it along to our fabulous MC, Mary, who then will pass it on to the next presenter. And we're going to have a Q&A later, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.